Have you ever wondered where the problems in the world today would exist if we had deeper connection to ourselves, others, and the environment and acted from that place? Welcome to the Conscious Action Podcast with your host, Brian Berneman, who believe that connection is the key to taking conscious action as individuals and creating a better world. We are here to raise awareness and inspire meaningful action by sharing stories, knowledge, and conversations with thought leaders and change makers. From sustainability to well-being and everything related to conscious living, our mission is to empower you to be the change that you want to see in the world. Welcome to a new episode of the Conscious Action Podcast. I am Brian Berneman, your host. And for this episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about the time of the year that we are in now, that is November, and we're getting close to the end of the year and the holiday season. And my invitation is for us to challenge the norm of what happens during this time and how we navigate through it. So it is quite common for many people to start getting more and more stressed out during this time, more and more overwhelmed about everything that needs to happen. It's as if there's this place that we're going towards, and it seems that we all need to rush to get there. And there's all of these different things that need to get done before this time, before we all click okay, holiday mode, and then we go. And up until that moment, there's a lot of hustling, there's a lot of imbalances, there's a lot of ways that we are not taking care of ourselves. So the invitation is for us to challenge that, to use this moment for bringing more ease and gentleness into our lives, for bringing more softness towards ourselves and others, for bringing more compassion and kindness, and as well to use this time perhaps for deeper connection to ourselves by understanding what it is that we want to do during this time, how we want to show up during this time, and what are the boundaries that we need to set so that we can actually honor that aspect of ourselves, and as well deeper connections with those that we're going to be connecting with during this time. That could be family, friends, or even strangers. Can we choose wisely who we want to spend our time with and how we're going to show up with them? So this is really interesting because we are wired and we have been conditioned for this acceleration and this turmoil and all of these different things that this time of the year brings, as well as all of the stress for many, many people around gifts and money and all of that. And I think that there's so much pressure, whether that is created or perceived by ourselves, that we need to do certain things, that I think that, again, challenging that. Why do we need to give gifts? Especially those gifts that are not ethical, sustainable, that are not good for the environment, and most likely are not even like something that the person that you're gifting to needs. So what if instead of giving gifts like a product or something tangible, we give our time, we give our energy, we give touch, we give in different ways that perhaps don't require resources from the earth, don't require people to be laboring in ways that are not ethical or fair for them, that don't require something that is going to perhaps not even be used. So how can we challenge this? How can we perhaps even set a boundary with that and just communicate to the people around us? Please don't give me any gifts. I don't need anything, unless there's something specific that you need, and if there's someone that is willing to gift you that, then by all means. communicating that is super powerful, especially for those that care, but are perhaps a little bit scared or feel a little bit of shame and guilt on telling this to others, because that's how a lot of people show that they appreciate you and they love you and they care about you. So being kind in how we are delivering this to others, it's not about them, it's about what I value and what perhaps you value. So if you are willing and have the courage to go and tell your loved ones, your family, your friends, that you're trying to potentially go without any gift giving this season, this year, then there's something that they can know now. That's a boundary. And if they do, like, you can have it open. If they do want to gift you something, because that's the way that they do show you appreciation and care, then making sure that they do something, again, that is aligning to your values. So ask them to either give you a specific thing or something within a range of products, or it needs to tick all of this checkbox in terms of your values. So it's just making sure that there's a level of understanding and a good set of boundaries and kind and compassionate communication with that. So there's that element. And then there's this element as well of all of the stress and the work and the trying to balance all of these different things. And I think that when we're able to go in more of a preventative mode, then we can actually navigate swiftly through all of those. We can actually show up and do a lot of work if we are well, if we are centered, if we are relaxed. Then we can show up and be more focused. We can have more concentration and more energy level, like a higher energy level, so that we can actually do that work. When we do that, then that doesn't come and doesn't keep on like adding to the snowball of what we're creating. The same at home. Start planning now. Start making sure that you reach out to those that you want to spend time with, and potentially telling those that you don't want to, like, that you're unable to go and do things. Like, don't feel like it's necessary for you to have something every single day during the holiday season. Take time for yourself to be with the ones that you choose. You know, you can see other people the following week or 2 weeks later. Unless you want to be with them and you want every single day to have something, again, your choice, but feel what feels right for you and what is going to support you in staying well, in staying aligned, in staying centered, because that is the key. It's about understanding what works for me, what works for you, and what works for me is not the same that works for you. So I much rather perhaps stay at home or go to the beach and perhaps not even being with other people some days. And some days I'm like, okay, I'm going to go around other people. Perhaps you'd like to go to a bar or to a restaurant, or every single day to go to a party. Like, that's perfectly fine. It's about finding what works for you and not doing things just because others might expect you to, or is what most people are doing. Just like with everything else. It's like we can care about others and we can care about what others might say or might think, but not if that's going to change how we want to be, how we want to show up in this world. So it's important to be able to regain our power and to be able to stand in our 2 feet and to stand our ground and be able to put the boundaries that we want. And during this time of the year, I think that it's important, and this is a conversation that I've been having with some of my clients as well, it's important to understand the role that the circumstances in your life play and how we navigate those. So the question is, are you a victim of your circumstances? Or can you be the master of your experience regardless of the circumstance? there's something that many years I talked about with my mom when I was not sure if people would resonate with me in certain aspects because I thought that I hadn't had enough hardships in my life comparing to many people, being in a position of privilege, basically. And my mom told me at that time, well, you had all of these tools. So a few things that happened during my lifetime, she pointed them out. And she was like, well, if someone didn't have the tools that you have to deal with them, this would have been something like rock bottom. So for me, understanding that is like, well, the circumstance is the same. How I show up in that was the difference. How I allowed myself to navigate through them was the difference. So any circumstance that happens, yes, it's important, and we navigate and we flow with that. Being a master of how we are experiencing, of how we are navigating, that is the key. So again, are you conscious enough and are you aware enough of how you're showing up, of how you're choosing to show up during this time of the year, that there's so much going on, so much pressure, so many things going on? Stand your ground. Look in and see what is going to aid you and support you to navigate through these times with ease and with softness and with gentleness and with joy and happiness. Because yes, it can be a wonderful time of the year, all of the holidays, a lot of the things that are there, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, like there's a lot of joy, or at least it should be there. So inviting that into your life, inviting that energy, understanding as well what's important, like that connection with people, that brings us joy. With loved ones, with family and friends, that brings us joy. Sharing a meal, sharing time, going places, allowing space for that, if that is what brings you joy. So trying to, again, change the mindset, change how we're showing up during these times. And if needed as well, start to plan next year. There's no need to, if that's going to add into your to-do lists. But if you do have time, it's great always to understand, yes, there's a cycle there. This year is coming to an end. How do I want to bring that cycle to an end? And how am I already opening the energy and the possibilities for the new cycle that is coming up? So it's important to understand, as I've been talking, how are we closing this cycle? How are we bringing it to an end? And also, what is the energy? What are the qualities? What are the different possibilities that we are opening ourselves up for the new? So a lot of times having this, new year is a time that a lot of people make those New Year resolutions. Use that if that is helpful for you. Bring intention, bring attention to the energies that you want to invite. If you have something specific, bring that as well. It's about how we are navigating that. So I invite you to ask yourself, how are you already showing up during these times? And how do you want to show up? What is important during this time? And what is not important? What can be done later on? How are you creating space for yourself, for connection with others? And what are your values that you're going to implement during this time and communicate with love and compassion to others? So I'd love to know, how are you during this time? How are you navigating it? How has it been in the past? And perhaps now you're in a different level of awareness and can actually show up differently. I'd love to know. Leave us a comment where you find us this episode, whether that is watching or listening in any platform. And we'll see you all in the next episode. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
What did you like the most about this episode? Take a moment to think about what change you can make in your life today.
Share your conscious action on social media using #ConsciousAction and tagging @ConsciousActionNZ so we can celebrate your impact on the world and create a ripple effect.
One easy action we would love for you to take right now is to share, like, and subscribe to this podcast. This will help us get these messages out into the world and inspire more people to take conscious action in their own lives, contributing to the better world we hope for.